Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yo, that's so angry, guys.
Nope.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Damn, son. Where'd you find this?
Nope. Good morning, everyone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to DC TV. It is September 15th, and it is 9 a.m. So your tiny little hiney should be here watching us as we talk about anything we want to, really, but mostly focused around cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and what the fuck is going on with Ethereum. This morning, I was watching it at around midnight 30, just watching it continue to like push forward. I'm like, God, I Tampa and I talked a little bit about this, about, maybe possibly doing it live as we, as the merge actually happened. And then I saw it just continue to getting pushed further and further out. And I was like, I feel bad for the poor souls that are actually watching this happen, because it's like watching paint dry, especially because Ethereum didn't do anything. It didn't do jack shit.
What were you expecting?
I don't know. Some people were like, "Oh, hey, let's watch the price to see if anything actually, materializes with this." But it didn't.
There you are.
It's down 2%.
Then we're getting ready, and that's the thing, is that this is the release of version 2.0, let's call it, of Ethereum, of a software.
Right.
Literally is what's happening. So, you can imagine everyone now is watching to see, okay, how is it going to perform?
Yeah.
To then make financial decisions. I think everyone kind of placed their bets on the table before the actual act. I'm sure some of them wondering, oh, it's going to crash. I'll short this, or it's going to work fine. I put my bets already. So it's just a matter of now what the next steps are for Ethereum moving forward.
Yeah, I believe it. And to really kind of give the best opinion out of all of us, it's got to be Tampa. We got Tampa here in the house.
She grew a beard just now. Oh, no, there's that.
Hey!
What's going on, DCTV crew? Uber extraordinaire here.
Right,
and by the way,
with the chauffeur chic.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
They just picked up Tampa at the airport here in Charlotte and headed up to the studio area and facilities.
Yes,
Welcome
happy
to
merge
North
day.
Carolina. There you go.
Yeah, we were just
Thank
talking about that, about how kind of underwhelming it was. The merge officially went through at 2:42 a.m. So I have to say that I'm pretty happy that you and I decided not to go live during that, because it was originally going to be around 1 o'clock. We waited an additional 2 hours for that to happen.
Yeah. Any sort of software upgrade, you're going to find these pushbacks. I've tried to stay up for a few of them on different networks, and it's always the same. 30 minutes turns into an hour, turns into 4, and good night.
Right. Yeah.
That's why they have a long-ass change window.
Yep.
That's right.
Right. And it at the beginning of a day instead of at the end of it, where there's date changes involved.
Right.
You have enough time.
I mean, this is a huge story, right? Like, I know you said that price impact wasn't much, and that's a good thing, because most ETH users aren't going to see any change at the front end, because all the change was in the back end of the code. And the fact that they were able to do this, the entire ETH core development team was able to pull this off without any disruption to the network, just mainly some main website glitches, and that's it. That's a testament. Whether you agree with ETH or not, that's a job very well done. I mean, they took every bit of the 5 years to get this, to actually go through to really do a good job planning.
Absolutely. And think about it. This is a global platform that's live, where tons of industry, tons of companies, corporations all over the world are submitting transactions into it. On top of that, of the corporations, you also have tokens and other technologies built on top of the Ethereum platform as we move forward. So it is a great feat that they did. And I understand why you're like, man, that was underwhelming. I was expecting fireworks or something in the market.
Some sort of movement.
Right. But that is a good outcome of this project. The fact that no one was interrupted globally.
They muted us.
No. You're there. You're there, Tim. I'm glad you didn't cuss.
Right. Well, and I mean, I heard bits and pieces, and I mean, I don't want to, disrupt the show with our lack of a signal, but most people will ask, well, what does this mean for me? And really, the users aren't going to see much right now. All the change was done on the back end. But what this does is it makes ETH now a deflationary asset. So now coins will be locked up, coins will be burned. It's not just a never-ending supply of ETH coins. So in time, theory says ETH should rise as it's now deflationary proof of stake. In the interim, though, although the merge was completely successful, if you hold ETH, you do need to be aware that inevitably with all software, there are bugs, there are hacks, there are things that are going to happen. And you just need to be ready, because when the first one does, everybody's going to act like the sky is falling and I told you so. ETH is going to zero. So just be aware of that. The bugs will be found, they'll be patched, and you'll move on. But congrats, hats off to the team, because it's undeniable. That's a massive feat that they did damn near seamlessly.
Yeah, it was surprising to kind of see. And Champ, we're gonna let you go. Appreciate you giving us the insight. We'll keep you on if you get to a better spot. Just send us a message. But thanks for your sense. We got Lord Fenrir here that says the next 2 weeks will be interesting with Ethereum. If any problems pop up in the code, it'll scare people, and that's kind of what Tamp was alluding to a little bit. And several interviews from Sam Bankman-Fried and others basically saying the same thing. Like, there's going to be problems. We know that there's going to be some growing pains here and there, and they're going to show up. But by and large, I mean, it was a pretty smooth transition.
Absolutely. And what changed for the green bean coming in is like, what the hell changed? If nothing changed for me from
why do I care?
What do I care? So what changed is the mechanism for consensus, the mechanism of securing the network and processing transactions is what changed from proof of work, the way Bitcoin does it, to proof of stake, where you have servers with your Ethereum locked in. It's what's known as staking Ethereum. And that's where it becomes deflationary, as Tamp well said, because now you're locking tokens instead of production of tokens into the ecosystem. You're locking them in and pretty much putting your financial family jewels on the line to secure and ensure you are securing the network. So the transaction speeds also increase because it is no longer waiting for a mathematical formula to be solved to process the transaction. Now it's validation through seniority or someone who's been there and locked their assets into it. And that makes it a trusted node to do this. So that's what changed really, is how the transactions are processed and how the network is secured.
Yeah. Good stuff. If you guys have other questions, of course, let them all out in the chat or comments on this. We're going to go ahead and move on to something that I think was worth talking about. My phone absolutely blew up this morning about all of this news that was coming out regarding the railroad strike. We've been talking about it the last couple of days. It seems as if there's a tentative deal on this, and some of the agreements that, or some of the demands that were being requested from the railroad workers have been met, including the 14.1% wage increase for the railroads. The shutdown could have frozen almost 30% of the U.S. cargo shipments by weight stock inflation, as we have talked about. So, I as any politician would, right? This isn't just a Joe Biden thing. As any politician would, they're going to take tons of credit for this, blah, 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 blah. But is this actually a win for, the Biden administration, or is this a win for, is it a win for anybody? Because to me, it doesn't really feel like it is just yet.
So I've been involved with strikes in the past and all, and this is typically what happens. You're getting down to the deadline. And what they do is they kick the can down the road by agreeing to certain key terms like the wage increase itself. The big question is, of course, the bigger implosion was averted, But truly, did it solve the problems? Did we come to an agreement? No, we did not. So this is something that can flare up down the road.
Right.
It does not remove the actual tension. But of course, if you're a politician, you will leverage it. It's inevitable.
Right.
You got to kiss those babies.
Yeah.
And I don't care what party you're in.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Biden himself called U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh and negotiators around 9 p.m. on Wednesday and told him once again, we recognize the harm that a failure to reach a deal would have caused the families, yada, yada, yada. Just to kind of
the military transports a lot of their stuff through the railroad. I mean,
right.
A lot is affected here.
The industry slashed almost 30% of its workforce over the last 6 years, cutting pay and other costs as they increase profits and stock buybacks and dividends for investors. Profits at billionaire Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, which owns BNSF, Tamp has talked about that, rose 9.2% the most recent quarter to $1.7 billion. I actually wanted to check in on some of the other railroad stocks, such as Union Pacific, that was down 4% yesterday and another 3% the day before. It is up 2.5% this morning. You guys can take a look at this. This is the chart here. You can see this is your daily chart. Over the last 3 days, we've seen a significant downturn. Obviously, the market wasn't great, so that didn't help things. But yesterday, it was down another 4.5%. So you can see this is a little bit of a gap up on Union Pacific. And the other railroads are acting pretty similarly. I don't know. I think that if investors were confident about this, the stock would have been up higher than 2.5%. It still hasn't remotely gotten anywhere to giving back some of the losses we've seen from it over the last couple of days. So I think that there's a lot of people in that similar camp, right? Like it's just going to continue to fester, I guess, a little is the appropriate word.
And it's because of the macroeconomic conditions. This is a crisis averted, not a leap forward for us on the transportation side. So we still have to deal with the CPI, how it came. And what that means is now the government will continue putting the screws to the Wall Street and everything else to try to bring down the inflation numbers through interest rates and everything else.
Right.
So I think that's one of the biggest challenges we're still facing despite this opening up.
Yeah, I agree totally. So couple of fun things that I wanted to kind of bring up too. Ford released I don't know where what did I do with that? Ford released a new Mustang. Did you see this?
Yes.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Ford released a new Mustang, and I know that well, maybe I could have found it, but
it was there. I swear
it was there. They released a new Mustang. I know that Greg is a Ford guy. Let's just bring us back up again.
There you go.
And so let's see what the fuck
and that
is
way,
going on.
That way, Greg can actually tell us what he did.
Yeah, well, I'll bring him back on in just a second. I just want a goddamn picture. I mean,
here it comes, guys.
So here's the thing: the Mustang guys are gonna fucking jizz their pants. Anybody who's not like a Mustang guy, but just an appreciator of just a car enthusiast. Here's Don. We can bring Don.
Go.
Hey, what's up, Don?
Hey, Don.
I'm just glad I'm here for this conversation because what is a Jeep guy about to say about a Mustang?
I'm not
understand.
Not just a Jeep guy, but I'm a car guy. Guess what? The Mustang still looks like a goddamn Mustang.
It
That's
does.
the idea.
Yeah, but like do something different for
What
Christ's
you want it to look like?
Huh?
What you want it to look like?
I don't know. What do you think, Greg?
Greg, what do you think of and what did you do?
I bit the bullet and bought a Mach-E yesterday.
Nice.
Speaking of Mustang,
Wannabe Mustang, but I like it. Me personally, I'm a race fan, so I want to see what it does on the track for the Ford teams because they've been at a disadvantage this year with the new car. So I'm interested to see what it does to help them out.
yeah. So it's got 485 horsepower, which is pretty impressive.
Weak sauce. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's impressive.
for Mustang, it's impressive. And you know, it is what turns me off a little bit, I guess, is like the headlights. The headlights look weird.
I look sharp.
Yeah.
And that's
It
coming
looks a
from a
little
guy
aggressive.
who owns a Corvette. So
That's all my Corvettes.
I know, that's what I said. I said just coming from a guy who owns
I want to
Corvette.
see what Jack Roush is going to do to it with the Roush Mustang, because he's pumping out 750, 800 horsepower Roushes.
That's what we're in right now. Is an F-150 Roush, for those wondering.
If there's not 1,000 horsepower, it's not worth talking about. If I'm being honest. We're in the thousands. Things are efficient now. Like, let's get to the 1,000 mark.
I mean, all the EVs are doing it.
Yeah, but that's because you have to have a brain and understand that torque is instant. There's no curve there.
Right.
We don't want to talk too much and over people's heads because a lot of people don't get that.
Right.
You know? And then they're surprised. We know what I really don't like hearing. That actually irks me a little bit is how much horsepower an electric car has. Like, shut up. I don't know why I don't like hearing that. Like, oh, it's got 9,000 foot-pounds of torque. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know how heavy the batteries are. That's why you.
Well,
Greg's
yeah.
trying to find out because that battery pack is on the bottom. If you take that to the track, I bet it hammers because it's going to turn like it's on rails. You got low center of gravity and instant power. They should have made battery-powered Formula One cars from the beginning.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, they have the Formula E, you know, series now, which is also very interesting. The thing about it is I definitely understand both sides. Like, having an electric car is pretty awesome. It's fun. It's exhilarating, but like, it just doesn't sound like anything. Like, I'm going fast as shit, and it's like there's no wow. And maybe that'll be my old man, like, it's, you know, my kids or whatever, be like, okay, whatever, Dad. You know, like,
I think
it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't matter?
It's like when aviation went from turboprop to jets, you know, or jets to whatever, you know,
Listen,
it's just change of
for as long as I live, I will have a manual driven car. I will have a clutch. I need to use my left foot. I need to go. Whoa! Whoa!
Well, first of all, you've never done that in a Jeep, so let's stop that right there.
His Jeep is manual.
Do you have any idea how many cars I've had? Yes,
At least 3.
Yeah. At least 3 Jeeps. At least 3.
I guess I wouldn't understand. It's probably a Jeep thing. But I will say this. I was going to turbo my first car. I'm working next to a guy. Hilarious story, by the way, because the only reason he lived where I live because he wanted to work for a race shop. So he sent his resume every day. And they finally like, Jesus, dude, we'll hire you. Stop. Just stop sending us your resume. He sent it in like every Tuesday he called them. But I'm working next to him. He's like, why are you going to turbo this? It was an Integra. I was like, I want to go faster. You know, like I'm going to get probably 300 horsepower out of it, which for that car, a little 4-banger, that was a lot. Yeah. And I go, and it just sounds cool. You know, I got the blow off out. I'm going to make it's an RFL, which stands for really, you know, effing loud. And he goes, that's a lot of money to pay for a little noise. And then it just sounds exactly what you're saying. Like you're gonna spend all that money just to hear an exhaust.
Yeah,
I know.
Like,
and you see it
sound, but like when you talk about like it doesn't make a noise, like sweet. Like, I don't get that part of the argument.
If you're buying a Mustang, you're buying a Mustang because it's supposed to sound like a fucking Mustang.
Hopefully, I'm buying it because I can't afford a fast car like a Corvette, and I want to get
also
close.
Sounds amazing. Like I don't want to drive a Corvette and just have it go silently down the road.
Oh, I do. I'm more worried about do I still have traction on these tires? Like I want to hear if I'm losing it. Like I'm worried about that next turn. I'm about to take 180 miles an hour. Like,
no, it's true. I mean, it's the sound of Harley Davidson. Now they're going also.
Yeah,
doing electric now. So
e-bikes.
Harley's known for those pipes. Harley's known for that sound, and by experience, they save lives. That loud sound.
Yeah.
I got run down by a girl backing out before I put the pipes onto a V-Rod out in Waco, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And she hadn't seen me because it had the factory pipes at the very beginning. So I think that sound is also safety, so they can hear you coming when you're doing 180 without the governor down the school zone, you know?
Yeah.
You know what's even worse though? And I better not see anyone in this group doing it because you're never gonna live it down. You think Tamp and I argue now? Wait until I find out you bought a stupid EV, or not stupid. you put a stupid noise to it. You know, like it was funny for like one time when Tesla put the sound effects to the speaker to make your Tesla sound like a Hellcat. Like that was funny one time. If you drive around with that, I'm gonna T-bone you. Like I'm gonna come into the side of that Tesla as fast as I can and destroy that car.
It's funny you say that because Chrysler's doing that with the new Charger. The new Charger.
So,
EV charger.
So they're trying to keep that noise or that.
Yeah, they artificial noise in the EV charger.
Damn.
That's like rebadging a V6. Just don't do it. I'm gonna have a huge trailer hitch on my truck. I'm gonna rear end and fold that car in half.
Slice it open.
Which by the way, I want to touch on this. You said this yesterday. It's the reason why I don't want to buy an F-150 Lightning. I haven't heard people talk about it, but you mentioned yesterday a battery pack detonating. You know, like if you're going off road and everything.
Yeah.
Tesla is the only company I've ever heard talk about that. They literally they destroyed their batteries because for a while there, if you stuck a metal rod through their rebar, you crash at a construction site, your battery would detonate. And that's a lot of power. Tesla's the only one to figure that out, to where something could go through, you get hit by a train, and it doesn't do that. And that's actually one of the big things that has me worried about, like the Mach-E, the Lightning. We already know Chevys will just catch on fire for no reason. Did they put that kind of tech in there? That's one thing I haven't heard Ford talk about. Like, don't worry about twisting this battery and turning it into a grenade.
Yeah. For guys who go off road like me, it's like, I don't that's not something that I'm really all that interested in.
It's probably gonna be like off-roading in an F-250. Like, it's gonna weigh too much. You're not going any mud in there. You're gonna see the bottom of that mud pit.
Right.
And it'll submerge in water as you get stuck in the mud.
Well, and Greg brought up a good point too about that. He's like, you can't modify EVs yet. And Indo Crypto was talking about watching videos of the Rivian truck, and I actually drove a Rivian, and it was like really impressive. It was fun, but then I was like, well, can I put big tires on this? And the guy was like, no. I said, well, what's the point? You want to spend $80,000 on this, and I can't do anything to it? Nah, I'm out past it.
That would destroy everything.
Yeah.
Mods are fun. I mean, there's nothing like replacing parts with performance parts. Like, no one wants to replace something broken. Like, you want to replace like that was working fine, but this has way more horsepower. Like, there's something exciting about that. And the argument there, it's not even one I would ever consider, is a lot of these batteries, they're all the same, but they're program locked. So like the Model S Plaid, I know there is some difference between the Plaid, but a lot of people, you can unlock that performance just by paying for it or hacking into the computer, but it just doesn't sound the same. You get your little nerdy glasses on, you're like, I moved some code around and now I got more power. Like, it's a stupid argument, but yeah, as far as mods go, all you can do is change the looks. Throw some Fast and the Furious, just gobs of plastic on the bumper
and just go.
Say you're faster. Yeah, I need those for wind.
Right.
That's a tough scene to watch, Don, in terms of before it was these grease balls model, and now it's a guy with glasses. Bro, I need code. I'm like, shit.
Let me plug it in. Like, he's your number one race car driver, some 90-pound kid, but with bifocals on. Like, no, come on.
Right. All right. Moving on. So getting back into crypto, starting today, Coinbase will be or yesterday, I should say, Coinbase will begin integrating our crypto policy efforts right into our app. This will help 103 million verified users get educated on the crypto positions held by political leaders where they live, which is very interesting. If you guys, so
you're gonna share?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually share this video here real quick, so you guys kind of get some context on this.
Action Portal. The Legislative Action Portal allows any Coinbase user to learn more about where members of Congress in the U.S. stand on crypto. Members of Congress have a score ranging from positive to negative based on publicly available data, including legislative records, media statements, social media posts, and more. For members that don't have enough information, such as Hakeem Jeffries, their profile will display not enough data. This will be updated if their score changes. Let's have in the Representative Torres.
This is in Coinbase?
You can immediately see that the sentiment is very positive. You can view his website or his Twitter to learn more, as well as see any notable statements that he has put out. You're also able to see what crypto bills, if any, that he has sponsored or co-sponsored. We've also added a very easy way for you to contact your member of Congress to urge them to support pro-crypto policies by tapping the big blue Get Involved button below.
That's a
in the coming weeks, you'll...
Good.
that's a brilliant move by Coinbase, because now they're engaging the political framework and policy making by creating this social pressure by their constituents. Sorry, us to, and man, what a way to make it easy. Like, I go to my congressman, all right, dude, come on, we're building in your district. Let's go.
Your score sucks. So want to up those points? When Brad first said that, it was like, here's some politicians and where they live. I was like, I'm about to delete this app because I'm going to be on the list I don't want to be a part of.
But this is how you can quickly influence policy in your area. And you saw how many people have crypto accounts built in. They're hodling, they're investing. So now to see if your local politician is actually building with you or against it, it helps frame that communication with them.
Yeah, one more score for them to pander to, which not to be negative, I just don't trust a politician ever. But Indo Crypto does say something. He says, "You don't think they can manipulate the scores?" Willing to bet they probably. How is it? How does it calculate these scores? One thing was statements made, and I'm curious if it's algos just scanning keywords.
I think so.
And do they pepper in some keywords to make it look good, but still they give you those roundabout answers like a retail store manager. They say a lot and nothing at the same time, just leaving completely open, but those keywords can pump that score a little bit.
Yeah, or title their tweet, crypto is amazing for us, and they have a video of them going.
Clickbait crap. Yeah, I'm sure they can. But, I guess to that point, though, it's not the end all be all, but just another tool, another little quick grab. Like, at least you know where to investigate. Like, hey, this person says they're positive. Let's at least check into that and see.
Right.
A little bit better than a shot in the dark, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like end all be all, source of information. But I think that there's at least gives you something, especially as people who are supportive of crypto and they want to know what their local politicians are doing about it.
And I think as a user, when you see this, and if they are gaming the system or cheating it, if I'm a local, I look up for my own congressman, I go and find out what their political views have been, and it could feedback here saying, hey guys, no, he's actually, or she's actually supportive or not supportive, to validate. So get the community involved, us involved, to validate all this information too.
Right.
So we'll set, like you said. Go ahead.
This is a before topic. Did you guys share an article that the strike is over? Not gonna strike anymore? Or?
It's not over. Isn't the appropriate word?
They kicked the bucket down the road.
Yeah.
To the 29th.
What'd you say?
29th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it say why?
They agreed to the 14.1% increase in wages.
They've had that agreed. They've had that for a while. I was talking to Nick about this. I wanted to get him to come on. But apparently there's like 9 unions. There's sheet metal workers. There's a few other ones, everything all involved in those shops. So they wanted to their contracts expire at different times. So they wanted to show solidarity. So they're all waiting to the last one, and then they're all going to strike at once. So I thought it was curious that article worded it that way. Yeah, because most of that stuff they already have agreed on, even back pay, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I did see that too.
But yeah, like I said, the main thing they're fighting for now is because I didn't notice they don't get days off. You get 12 hours off if you work for the anyway, the market's open, but so that's one thing they haven't agreed on yet, I guess, is days off. They want the ability to have a day off, whether they plan it out in the future or just have a day off.
Yeah, what do you mean by that exactly? So
you're on call, and you got to call, and I forget the position. One of the railroad workers, they don't get days off at all.
So just to give you guys context, Nick is a friend of Don's. I went out to Kansas City to hang out with both of them, and I hung out with Don with Nick for a decent amount of time. while I was out there, so that entire time he was on call. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it's a particular position. He gets days off. He has the weekends off.
Okay.
But there's a certain position that they want that they don't have days off, and it's one thing they want, which I'm not anyone to speak, but why is that not doable? Like, if everyone else has days off, like, why can't this one or two, however many it is, positions just get a day off? Or like, police officers, they do their schedule a whole year in advance. Like, at least do that. Like, I'm going to take these couple days off, find some coverage.
Yeah. And I think maybe, like, I wonder if there's anywhere else that does this, right? Like, do utility workers have to do the same thing in case there's like some sort of catastrophe, right? Weather, what have you? Like, is it like that, or is it much?
So utility workers usually have a rotating schedule. Of course, the higher seniority ones have the best schedules, and then the newest crews or union members are the ones that are covering the shifts. Now, they also have arrangements where it is mandatory to show up in the case of a disaster or anything of that sort. So there are certain emergency things, but in terms of the normal day-to-day, without any of those pressures, they do have a rotating schedule in that order.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just because like there isn't enough people, or this is just how it's always been done, so this is what they do. Like, I definitely would like more context. So if we can get more people on that maybe work in this space, that would be great, just to kind of like say, hey, what is actually up with this stuff? Darren Anderson says that my grandfather worked for Seaboard Coastline for 55 years, and he was on call 24/7 most of his career.
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
It's the nature.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, millennials take note. It's called work.
Absolutely.
You got to show up for it.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, to be on call 24/7 is absolutely insane. Looks like Tamp is actually here with us. What's up, girlfriend?
I'm actually at the Medify facility. Alpha first looks.
Nice, with a Roush behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you we got to the facility quick due to that.
Sure did.
Outstanding. Welcome.
What are they doing? They building it? Is it looking new and shiny yet? What's the update?
Always. There's always building here. That's all we do is build. And everything, like, again, it looks like it's shade or something might be, not appropriate. It's all building.
Yes. And we have VIPs arriving today also. So there's quite a bit of activity going on.
Yep.
Nice.
Never a dull day. And we are 7 without the union.
Yeah. Right. That is the damn truth. So good stuff there. One other thing that I wanted to bring up, actually I got a couple of things, but one thing that I thought that would be interesting to talk about was rate increases. So Ray Dalio and is starting to buy into the fact that rates at 4.5% would sink stocks by 20%. And just to go into this a little bit, he thinks that given the state of the market, and that the market right now only has built in that 2.25 to 2.5% interest rates, a raise into that 4.5 or even 4% territory could bring stocks down by 20%. And this is probably a better question for Don, and both Tamp and Jaime can certainly chime in on this. But Don, have you had a chance to take a look at this, and what are your thoughts on that?
So this actually aligns with what I first said when we were talking about the crash. I actually drew out a purple zone on my chart and said that's where it's at. At the time, we were at the market lows, and I said we got another 10%, and then we had the most impressive bear market rally, if that's all that was. Most impressive bear market rally that just sent things up, and it had me questioning, was that really the bottom, and are we going to be sideways for a little bit? So to see him come out and say it now, it kind of aligns with what I said in the beginning, just sticking to how I normally trade. I think the only thing that threw it off was that bear market rally. It was the biggest one, but at the same time, like, as markets grow and technologies grow, of course, we're setting records, left, right, and center. 2020 never happened until, that happened. Records are made to be broken.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's as much as fear mongering as people think. I think there's a lot of, what do you say, validity? I don't know how you say that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like valid points, and it brings it right to a perfect level. And if you just pull up the charts, it erases the whole chapter of COVID, kind of just closes that book, and then we're back onto the next chapter. because it brings it right to a point. If you look at the charts, and I can just explain it, the Rona crash didn't actually start at the dump. It actually pumped up, then sent things full south, and then the most impressive run up. And if we bring it right back down to the 20% mark, it brings us right before that pump, kind of just putting this whole era to an end, and then we just get back to normal. And I think if things got off tilt, they're just reining everybody back in. We're back to a normal market after that.
So you think that it's possible that the market could actually end up coming down to the highs just before the COVID crash?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it? Think how much money they'd make if it did that.
Well, that's true.
Yep.
That's a fair point. Dalio says that the U.S. yield curve will be relatively flat until there's an unacceptable negative effect on the economy. Again, going towards interest rates. Investors speculating that the Fed will tip the economy into recession next year, and the fight to curb inflation already see policymakers easing rates in the later stages of 2023. So there's a decent amount of consensus that's indicating that we'll see rate hikes going into the end of next year, not even thinking about loosening them up anytime before that.
Yeah, and the CPI numbers is kind of the...
Well, that's just it. And to Don's point, the bear market rally yielded to the worst single day drop that we've had since June of 2020. And that was just this week.
What's mind-blowing is how it hits these levels that I'm sure, Don, you had on the chart, I had on the chart. We're looking at it. Yeah. You and I were looking on the weekly.
Right.
And it was just tipping it. Then CPI comes out, boom. Now we're at where we define ourselves. Do we continue, do a capitulation, or do we continue up? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what screen my monitors are on. Yeah, I don't know.
Don's zones are good. They're good zones.
Yeah,
but it's also the story behind it.
Yes.
And just why wouldn't that make sense for that to happen? That brings the NASDAQ down to just sub 10.
You got your charts up now?
Yeah, I can share it.
Perfect. And meanwhile, when you bring up the charts, are you of the type that show me the charts and I'll tell you the news? Or how do you see charts versus fundamentals, technicals versus fundamentals, Don?
I don't know. It's hard to explain. So that it probably sounds like tenfold because let me just put it, let's go blank screen on that one. So fundamentals here's how I'll see fundamentals. We got here to here. Now somebody got excited on their Excel document, and they said, we're going to sell this many units, this much, and percentage, this and that. And they can really do whatever they want with those numbers. But, realistically, if you're good at it and you have any tune to the world, you're thinking this right here. So fundamentals should carry you on this on a good company with good growth. Technicals is just all the fun stuff in between. The algos getting in and out, retail, your buyers on the smaller time frame, everybody doing that. So fundamentals will take you at that trajectory. Technicals will just do all the in between. It's why I just like to buy good stuff. Like I don't really get into crap companies or penny stocks. You also don't have to worry about volume or anything.
Perfect.
But stick around these zones for a while. You'll see the news comes out in them. And this usually goes against everybody's thing, but it's like the dollar on the end of the fishing line. They're like, oh, here you go. And then they just yank it a little bit. They have to have some liquidity to move in and out. Once you're big enough, we can jump around in and out all we want. We're little minnows in the ocean. We have that availability. Once you're controlling billions, it's a different ball game. You need excitement. You got to pay the reporter, $50,000 to go say some bearish stuff. Hey, word it this way. Here's some money, and then algos shoot out, and then everybody starts trading along that, and you can play the in and out game as a bigger trader.
Right. Yeah, they create liquidity by doing that in the market.
That's exactly what they do. And here's the normal S&P. Here's the NASDAQ everyone knows and love. All the tech stories you've heard your grandpa talk about is this NASDAQ right here. And then the Rona comes, sends it up, crashes it right back down, and then we just get nuts. So bring it right back down. So this blue line is my level for that. Here's the S&P that I drew out a long time ago. That's that purple box. If you take his charts, it was 10% from here. I'll explain these blue lines in a second. So when I said we got another 10%, we were here. Drew's right here. His 20% takes us right to that level. And
we're talking about Ray Dalio's 20%.
Yeah. And so it just brings it right back down to that level. And look, we got crazy to both ends. We bring it right back down. Now we can carry on as traditional markets. Like everything inside here was the Rona era, the EVs, the SPACs, the pot stocks, the GMEs, the AMCs, all of that. Now all those guys get crushed. YouTubers finally can settle down because they're not right every day, and they can finally get off. And we just get back to the normal stuff. We're back on the grind. So it completely just erases all of this. And then there's all the money everyone makes in between. And I trust the dollar more than I do any article. I trust everyone's greed for money more than anything else. That's why there's corruption. If anyone had an honest word out there, money couldn't control it. But again, politicians, they're only there to collect money. And they would make so much just reining it back into that.
And knowing beforehand that this is what's going to happen, I think that's how they would really profit, by guiding or pushing or pressuring the market in that direction.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want in that level. But here's news coming out. We attacked that. Now we blew through zones, but now we're playing the ping pong game back and forth between these two zones. We're on the daily right now. So all we're doing is bouncing, found some buyers, found some sellers. We'll see where we break from here. But I would not be the least bit surprised at all to see any of this. And if anybody is trading, this is where egos get involved, and then you guys, your account shows that your ego got involved. I have a money bias, not a directional bias. So if it's headed south, I'll short the market. If it's going up, I'll go long. A lot of people will just go long, and then it's red, and then they say that the market's wrong, not them. Or who was it the other day? It's like, you got to buy what you believe in. Just keep believing harder until you're green. Unfortunately, everyone else has to believe as well, and they got to buy in. And not only that, they got to buy in higher than you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that have to happen for you to be right in a trade.
Just because you believe AMC is going to 100K doesn't mean it's going to 100K.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what that's an extreme case. But look what they did. The second AMC started falling, they didn't look to themselves and think, was I wrong? They had looked at all the other reasons why everyone else was wrong except for them. Like, failure to deliver, this and that. All the wrong reasons. And then it's so silly. I'm just going to pull up AMC because they took everyone for a ride and took their money. And it's hilarious because I was a part of it. So this is the weekly chart. Look how long we went sideways right here. Inside of this, I think it was Trades or some other guy like that. He's on Fox or some mainstream media. How do you keep the hype alive more with some retail crew that doesn't care about the suits than having a YouTuber on the news? And they kept it sideways. There were so many puts and calls that expired worthless that somebody sold them. And I sold them all day long as well. I made a bunch of money right here and just kept it alive. But every day a news article would come out, every day a reason. And then AMC was like, we're going to mine gold now.
Yeah.
Just keeping these guys strung along. And it was hilarious.
Popcorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like a shit coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like Shiba right now.
No, it does.
Even then, crypto's the same way to some extent, as long as there's an excuse. Look at the structure behind Doge. Right? There's just billions of coins coming out, or Shiba, whichever one. But you look at the coding behind it. Nothing changed. But you get someone like Elon tweeting it. All of a sudden, if Brad can understand this more for share structure, imagine they're adding in 12 million shares a day. You would tell someone to run, don't walk, run, get your money out of that. And
that's exactly why I lost my mind when everybody was excited about Ape. I was like, you all realize that they just essentially doubled the share structure of AMC with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because share voters. Go ahead.
Yeah. So all the apes were like, this is so good for us, for retail, whatever. You see AMC get dumped about 40%. And then everybody starts moving over to Ape. And now they're both going down. Yeah.
And shareholders voted no on the dilution of AMC. So they found a loophole and spit in everyone's face and said, don't worry. This is good for you. And then everyone just soaked it up.
And then literally drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. You got to keep the Kool-Aid alive, though. That's how you create that liquidity. Again, I know it doesn't go again. Traditional investing is, this is, I valued it here and it's here, so I think I found a pocket in the market where it's going to be cheap, and you think everyone's going to flood in. And in a normal market, that's the case. I wouldn't argue it. I used to make fun of investors a lot, a long time ago before this, because it was an easy joke to poke at them. But now, like, we did get high. Like, valuations are a little bit nuts. So back to that other point, to rein it back in, like, I think they do have to kind of rein it back in. Things got a little excited. Like, Peloton was $180.
Yeah,
look at how many stocks just went nuts because everybody bought it. Proving my point exactly, that when there's more buyers, it goes up. When there's more sellers, it goes down. Ultimately, no matter where you're at, that's how the game is ran. It's an online auction. We're basically just CPAs watching receipts, because that transaction taking place is what makes the candle in the first place. So now all we get to see is everybody started buying this. Everybody went crazy. This is Beanie Babies. And then now we find out they're just little stuffed animals. McDonald's had them in a Happy Meal for a little bit.
Yeah,
rein it back in. Go back to playing another game. Go collect coins and stamps.
Exactly.
It's literally emotions.
Yeah.
It's literally emotions.
Yep. All good stuff. I really appreciate the breakdown on that, Don. I think a lot of our viewers really actually enjoyed that. And so lastly, I wanted to kind of shift gears here. Also in your wheelhouse a little bit. Housing affordability hasn't been as bad as it is right now since the Ronald Reagan regime. And now takes 35.51% of the median household income to make a principal interest payment on the medium home, with 20% down, according to figures mortgage technology and data provider Black Knight shared with Yahoo Money. That's the highest payment to income ratio since October 1985, and when it took 36% of the household income to make that payment. Just in January, that ratio is at 24.61%, below the long-term average of 25. Lots of people out there speculating that we're going to see a housing crash because of it. I'm still not quite sure I'm buying into that, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Don.
No, I think people are just going to, unfortunately, what's going on is we've been taught as a society that if you complain and bitch enough, you can bend things to your will. I mean, cancel culture, like, people are so afraid to say something because cancel culture might come out. It doesn't change their opinions. They just kind of change how they do things. But now when you get into the investment realm, where now it's moving money, you're going to find it's a little bit harder to for your emotions to just bend someone else's will like that. Like, they don't care. Money's still in control. And you can complain all you want, but all this does is it creates more renters.
Right.
So do whatever you want to house pricing. House prices come down, interest rates go up, which is amazing for investors. Keep the complaining alive, because now you get to buy houses cheaper, which makes more renters, which makes the demand for rent higher, which means you can raise rents. So all they're going to do is F themselves right into paying higher rent and paying even more.
Yes. With the corporations buying homes to rent, also, like, they're even here in Charlotte, they're changing HOA rules so homeowners can have that access to it to avoid this.
Not companies.
Correct, not companies. Yet this is what we're seeing, is that the interest rate is to such a degree. It's almost like now you have your mortgage and taxes as your biggest outflow of your income.
I'd be curious, like,
it's also the most expensive thing you've ever bought, so that kind of makes sense.
Like, I wonder if at some point we'll see some sort of legislation come down the pipeline of like companies having to pay extra to buy houses to kind of slow them down a little bit, because of the rate in which we're seeing companies like Zillow and whomever buy up properties like that.
How is that fair?
I think it's unfair to the individual, to somebody who just wants to buy a house for their family, versus like you have these big corporations that are just buying up all the real estate they can.
And
I mean, I agree, but
yeah,
your mom should have told you life's not fair when you were growing up.
But yes, which is why I'm curious to see if legislation actually comes down the pipeline. That's
there was certain things happening that it what was it? There was something along those lines that I was just surprised it even made it that far. Yeah, I guess you probably would need a crystal ball after that, but I'm willing to bet that's going to start infringing on rights. So because I own a company, I can't buy a house now. Like, there's going to be 100 loopholes for that.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, it priced some people out. Unfortunately, minimum wage isn't $80K a year yet. Go fight that battle, like, or get a better job. why should I be limited? Because I spent more time building a business than I did complaining on social media.
Right.
I get it. It sucks because especially everything that's going on just creates a much better buy for investors, which only makes the problem even worse.
Yeah.
Right.
But
feeds to itself, really.
Yeah. It kind of puts you in this death spiral because one thing feeds the other and it just sends it down and even further. Eventually we'll level out. But people also think, a lot of people think housing prices are expensive right now. Or they think interest rates are expensive. They also think gas is cheap. Like 2 years ago, gas was cheap. But before Biden, gas was cheap. It was in the dollars. Now it's cheaper than $8 a gallon. It's higher than what interest rates are higher than what you're used to paying, but you should have got off your ass when interest rates were cheap. The average interest rate's like 12% or 14% or 9%. It's something ridiculous if you go over any long-term averages. So we're paying 5 now. Like, so what?
Yeah.
Like when I bought my first home, it was 5%. Like it was like 4 something, like 4.75, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a great deal at the time. I was like, man, interest rates just dropped. This is banging. I'm in the 4%. Like, yeah, this is awesome. But then it went to 1.
Lord Finner said that we have subprime loans coming back into play as well. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, somebody else brought that up. Subprime loans and stated loans.
Ooh.
That is going to be a problem because that's the fraud that happened in 2008. That's blatant fraud. Like, so stated loans is you walk into a bank and say, hey, I'm a millionaire. And they're like, cool. What do you want? Like, well, I want to buy this $1 million house. Like, how much do you make a year? About $1 million. And they say, okay, you sure? You promise? You pinky promise? And then like no background check, I'm taken to the extreme. Then they just give you the money and then you can't afford it. And maybe you bought it as a rental. You walk in and you lied through your teeth and you had a rental and then that renter moved out and you can't afford the note. Like then that's going to lead into foreclosures and problems. So subprime loans, those are also people that are like, hey, I had trouble paying my $50 credit card bill, but I can for sure pay $3,000 on a mortgage. Don't worry. You're first.
Right.
And it's just going to not be good. Like people need to hear that they're just not good buyers. I'm sorry. If you can't pay your stupid credit card bill on your $300 maxed out credit card, you're not a good buyer for a $500,000 house. And that's just the real world. Right. Pandering to them, trying to just make loans easier for them to get is only going to hurt them in the long run.
Correct. They implode in the end, like it all happened in 2007. But I thought regulation came out.
Yeah, they took all those off the table.
When?
2008. Yeah, that was blatant fraud. We made a bunch of laws to make sure we would never go back to that. Now it sounds like we're just like, we could erase a couple of those.
Yeah,
man. Okay.
Yeah. It's not good to hear that. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But with the government just got their little happy finger on the printer, just printing money. I guess as a bank, it probably is good to have subprime loans because what are they going to do? Fail, default, and then I got to call the bank up and say, or call the government up and say, you told me to do this. Now I gave a house to some idiot. Now you can pay the bill. So maybe on the bank's end, it spells out all right, but trouble for everyone else because if the government's going to foot that bill, then we got to print more money and just one more notch on the negative side.
Yes, and we pay for it.
Didn't work out for the banks last time around, so I guess we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I'm not a banker, but I'd tell you to no. Like, why would I give you that much money if you? Clearly, I'm looking at your credit score,
right?
And it tells me how good you are,
right?
Like, so yeah, I don't know. It is concerning to his point, to Lord Finner's comment. It's not good to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All good stuff today. Don, appreciate you coming on. Guys, I've been really bad at the calls to action today, but check out the links in the description. And Don Fron is also down in there. Go follow him at the Don Fron Show on YouTube.
We have a guest tomorrow.
We do have a guest tomorrow. You coming back tomorrow, Don?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Beautiful.
We have a guest. Go ahead and
it
tee
is
him up.
Boss Don. I don't know if you have the fight card up there, but he came to visit. So
he wants to throw down.
That's the background. That's the backdrop. So he's coming online. He came to visit. He met Peter through the Agile for All training, Scrum training, and came to visit the facility. And we discovered he's involved in the music industry in a certain way. I'll just give you that. I'll just give you some of the tidbits. Tomorrow he'll come online as one of our guests, and we will explore his world and how he got into crypto and how we move forward.
Well, I've played the piano longer, better, faster. So
then talk. You got someone to talk to, right?
Yeah. There's two options. We can shine together or we battle to the death. I got a pretty good win rate. Haven't died yet.
Let's get her.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, go check out the links in the description. Come check us out on Discord as well. And we will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Have a good one.
Have a great one. See you tomorrow.